What, does he do it crazy?
What is your obsession with Daniel?
You're both in 8th grade.
Stop. You're jealous. You're jealous.
All right, get out your homework.
Or Cora, actually not.
What?
Yeah, but it's not bad. Where I'm like, oh my god, I wish Cora was in my class.
You said that once.
What?
All right, any questions on the homework before we grade it? 2 through 36 evens. Yesterday, pretty simple. Today, also simple, but different. And then from tomorrow onward, it's the complicated part of probability. I'll just say, from tomorrow onward, it gets difficult. Not like crazy difficult, but it definitely is not going to be as easy as yesterday or today. All right, here we go. Their written exercise is 2 through 36. Number 2, 1/2, 50%. Number 4, 1/2, 50%. Number 6, 1, 100%. If you roll a die, you're gonna get a number that's less than 7, right? Number 8, 1/4, 25%. Number 10, 1/5, 20%. Number 12, 1/2, 50%. Number 14, 3/4, 75%. Number 16, 4/5, 80%. Number 18, 1/5, 20%. Number 20, 2/3, 67%. That's fine. That's fine. 22, 1/2, 50%. 24, 1/4, 25%. 26, 1/6, 17%. 28 is 0. You can't be blue in a multiple of 5. The numbers that were blue were 3, 6, 9, 12. None of those are a multiple of 5. 30 is 1/36. I did not change that to a percent. I don't know. It's going to be small.
I got 8.3.
Okay. Is that right? What did you get?
2.7.
I'm saying 2.7 is a bit closer. 1 divided by 36 is less than 3%.
Yeah, 2.7.
Yeah. Number 32, 1/9. 1/9. 34 is 1/18. 1/18. Did I give you 36 or just 34? And 36 is 4/9. 4/9. And that was it. All right. We're doing odds today. Odds. All right, take a look at the calendar. We got nothing but classes for the rest of the week. We will remember CMAS got put off for 1 week, so we will take CMAS. You guys are taking the science and the math tests. Science and the math test. There it is. You're taking 6th grade math. You better get 100 on that. Something. Better get 100 on that. All right, here's your homework, 2 through 22 evens. Hey, be careful. We are not doing probability today. We are doing odds. It's going to look exactly the same as yesterday. It's done differently.
Wait, is this the
New homework, yeah. Odds are not probability. Odds are odds. Just do them in order. Just follow a pattern. That way you don't skip anybody. Who? Jackson, you got a sheet?
Yeah, I got it.
Who wasn't here that I had oh, Grayson wasn't here yesterday. I have his test.
Yeah.
And Merrill
You still
already
didn't
saw
give me a
it, you got your
paper,
test?
dude.
on
It's on the
Teams.
floor.
We'll talk after. You did fine, don't panic. All right, here we go. Odds in favor, odds against. Odds in favor, odds against. Now, for the uninitiated, right, especially 8th graders, odds and probability, they all sound like the same. They express the same thing, but they're two completely different things. Completely different in the sense of you don't get the same number, but it's like saying two different descriptions of the same thing, right? One describes it in terms of numbers, one describes something in terms of color. They both are describing the same thing, but they're coming at it from different, I don't know, ends, so to speak. Absolutely positively, for math people, we hate this because non-math people screw this up all the time. Somebody will say probability when they meant odds. Somebody will say odds when they meant probability. I mean, mistakes all over, including in government, right? When they say they try to use odds, but they give probability or vice versa. All right, what we've done so far is, remember, we've arranged items. When order doesn't matter, that's a combination. When order does matter, that's a permutation, two formulas. This one is NPR over RPR, and permutations is NPR. Okay, probability is what we did yesterday. That is technically a fraction or a decimal between 0 and 1. 0 means it can occur, 1 means it must occur, and anywhere in between percentage-wise. We like it as a percent. It's the chance of an event occurring. That is a probability. Okay, but it is a number between 0 and 1 as a decimal. Okay. Today we're going to do the same basic idea. We're going to calculate the likelihood of an event occurring, except we're going to use something called odds. By the way, they're both used all the time and in equal number of times. Like half the time people use odds, half the time some people use probability. In the sports world, when you turn on sports, most likely they talk about odds. Hey, what are the odds that your team's going to win? Right? The problem is most people say, what are the odds they're going to win? And they're like, oh, 1%. That's a probability. That's not odds. That's a probability. Odds are expressed. Well, I'll show you what it is. All right. The other way of expressing the likelihood of an event, that should say event, not even. Event occurring, it's called odds. Don't write this down yet. Odds is also a fraction or a ratio. You will not see odds written as a fraction. You will see it written in colon form. Remember, ratios can be in fraction, colon form, or written form. Odds are always written in colon form, right? And it expresses the ways to win versus the ways to lose. The reason why odds is as popular as probability is because usually we are focused on, are you going to win or are you going to lose? Is it going to happen or is it not going to happen? When that's the case, most likely they use odds. That's why sports uses this a lot. All right, write this down in box 1. We will be doing 2 of these today. They're both odds. One is called odds in favor. It is a ratio. Remember to write this in colon form of winning to losing. What's the likelihood I'm going to win versus what's the likelihood I'm going to lose? Those are called odds in favor. Right. Okay. You're going to have to write more in that box. The second one, guess what it's called? What? The first one is odds in favor.
Odds in proportion.
The second one is called odds against. Still a ratio. It's just the first ratio flipped. Instead of being the odds of winning to losing, it's losing to winning. Like, why would I want to do that? Well, some people are optimists, some are pessimists. The pessimist is always concerned with what are the odds against. What's the odds against her saying yes if I ask her to prom? Because they're worried she's going to say no, right? The optimist says, hey, what's the likelihood of her saying yes if I ask her out?
So
There's
always
a chance.
All right. Odds in favor, odds against. It's an easy concept. It's also easy to calculate this one. This one isn't hard. The hard stuff starts tomorrow. All right, you okay with this?
Yeah.
All right. The book gives you a formula. It is a bit unnecessary at this level, in my opinion. I don't teach the formula. I just teach you how to calculate it. You take a higher level probability statistics course, then that formula is a bit more useful. I find, at least at the 8th grade level, that it's just confused. Why enter? It's an easy concept. How many ways to win over how many ways to lose? Odds against how many ways to lose over how many ways to win. That's it. Okay. The formula thing is true. I'll explain it to you at the end, but I don't find it necessary to use the formula. All right. So in box 2, we're going to write the actual how you do the calculation. Okay? It's pretty simple. So remember, we have 2 of them. One for odds in favor, one for odds against. For odds in favor, here's how it's done. Put this in box 2. It's a ratio. That means it's a fraction. It's how many ways are there to win? We did that yesterday for probability. Yesterday, the bottom was what can happen, like give me all the outcomes. Today, it's going to be, well, how many ways to lose? You're going to see when we do a couple examples. Like I said, even though it's defined as a ratio, that means we could put it as a fraction. We will always write odds and colon form. I should make this yellow. So it's win to lose, win to lose. We just finished, the NCAA tournament, and all they ever did was talk about what are the odds? What are the odds? Hey, they're a 3-to-1 favorite. That means there are 3 ways they thought they were going to win, one chance of them losing. Literally, that's all it meant. How do they calculate those odds? Okay, that's magic. That's just made up stuff. Today, we'll be playing games where we literally can do those calculations. If this is the formula for odds in favor, what's it going to be for odds against? It's going to be lose to win, and then it's going to be this fraction flipped. So it's the same thing except flipped around. Like I said, it just depends. You got to be careful when somebody says odds. You're going to say, is that the odds in favor or odds against? How many ways to win? How many ways to lose? Odds in favor. Odds against, how many ways to lose, to how many ways to win. Kind of just depends. Are you focused on winning or losing? I'm not going to say one is better than the other. You can say it either way. Odds in favor, odds against. Maybe there's a human condition here. For instance, COVID's happening right now. So, you might want to say, what are the odds against me catching COVID, right? In other words, you want to know what's the likelihood of me catching COVID. Well, I don't know about you, but I'd say catching COVID is you're losing, right? So maybe that would be odds against. What are the odds against me? And what you're really saying, what are the odds against me staying healthy, right?
What's the
Odds in favor, I'm not sure how you would use that in context of COVID. Like you don't really win if you catch COVID.
It's 1 in a million.
Right, but that would be how many ways to lose, right? There's only one chance out of a million you catch. I'm making these numbers up. One chance out of a million you catch COVID, right? Those would be odds against.
To be correct.
If you were a pessimist, right, you would say there's 990,999 ways to not catch COVID, only one way to catch COVID.
Yeah, there's
And by the way, those numbers do not apply to COVID. They're much higher than that, by the way. You're still not likely to get COVID, right? There's way more ways of not getting COVID than there are of getting COVID. All right, we will be playing the same games. The 3 games we played were the spinner game, the rolling die, and cards. Okay. So it says, now here's where it can only be tricky if you don't read. It doesn't say odds against. It says, what are the odds in favor of landing in this dark area? Like I said, today is still easy. You look at box 1, box 2, it says odds in favor. Odds in favor are this ratio. Well, how many ways are there to win this game?
or
How many ways to win this game?
6 ways.
What are the 6 ways to win the game?
Oh, no, sorry.
There's 4. Can you see them? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 ways to win this game. How many ways to lose this game?
2.
There's 2. So as a ratio, before you can reduce this, this will reduce to
Two.
2 over 1. In other words, there's 2 to 1. Win to lose would be 2 to 1. You see this all the time. You open up your paper, hey, this team is playing, they're a 2 to 1 favorite. 2 to 1 favorite means they are more likely to win than lose. We do not change this into a percent. We always leave odds in colon or fraction form. Like I said, colon form is the way odds are always written. Who's lost? This is the same homework as last night, except it's odds, not probability. Probability would be what here? What's the probability that you land on the dark area? 4 over 2. Probability is how many ways to win over everything. 4 over 6, 2/3, 66 or 67%. Okay. What are the odds against landing in the dark area? It would be that thing flipped. How many ways to lose? Okay. How many ways to win? Not 6. There's not 6 ways to win this game. So it would be just that thing flipped. So it would be 2 to 4 or 1 to 2. 1 to 2. You see that? You have to read carefully when you're doing odds because it's either odds in favor or odds against. Right? All right. Did you notice something about the 2?
There's 1s and 2s.
Okay. It's the same thing, just flipped, right? So some people, and they're make it more complicated than others, some people like only ever calculate odds in favor. And if the question ever says odds against, they just take their answer and flip it. Some people think that's smart. I don't know. Maybe that is for you. It's never made sense to me. I just calculate whatever it says odds in favor or odds against. But some people do like to only ever calculate odds in favor. How many ways to win over how many ways to lose? And if the question says, what are the odds against? They take their answer and they flip it around. Does that make sense? Other people just say, well, why don't you just use the formula? It's not that complicated. How many ways to lose? How many ways to win? How many ways to win versus how many ways to lose, depending upon whether you're doing odds against or odds in favor. All right, box 3, here we go. Never write it as a percent or a decimal. Okay. What are the odds in favor? That's win to lose of landing on a 1 or a 6. Well, how many ways to land on a 1 or a 6?
2.
I heard 6. How many ways to land on a 1? Doesn't say 1 and a 6. By the way, that's where we're going for the rest of the week. This says 1 or a 6.
Oh, there's
1 or a 6.
there's a 2.
How many ways are there to do that?
2.
There's 2. So that's how many ways to win, how many ways to lose.
6 over 2.
How many ways to lose?
6.
4.
Okay, let's count how many ways to lose. You land on a 1, win or lose.
It's
You
4.
said both.
Win.
Okay, you land on a 2, win or lose. There's 1.
Lose. Lose. Lose.
Wait.
Okay.
So what did you say?
Do you want to do that again?
It's
What?
4.
Yeah.
You simply count up how many ways to lose. Win or lose.
Win. Lose. 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 So I'm still
can't-
confused.
Okay, so there's 2 ways
So
to
is it
win
not
and there's
2
4
over
ways to
6,
lose.
you got 2 over 4?
It's read box 2. What does it say?
Oh, I think.
Read box 1. What does it say? Box 1 doesn't have the formula.
Ratio of winning to losing.
How many ways did you get to lose?
Oh,
So it's not 6, it's 4. Okay. Now we would reduce it once again. And we do like to write the answer in colon form, 1 to 2. Those are the odds in favor. So are you going to win this game or are you going to lose this game? You played this over 1 billion times. Are you going to win or lose?
both lose.
You're going to lose. You only win 1 out of every 2 times. You lose 2 times. Technically, this is 2 times to lose. Yeah,
So are the fraction or the colon form both correct?
they are both correct. Colon form is how you will always see this. All right, see if you do box 4. I'll give you a 30-second head start.
Leave box.
So for this one, it's not going to be 6, right?
It's never going to be 6 if there's only 6 choices. It will be 6 if it's probability. None of these are probability. These are all odds today. And I did start off this class by saying it's only confusing in so much as it's odds, not probability. What are the odds in favor? Odds in favor is win over lose, win over lose. So what does it take to win? I got to land on an even number to win. I'm counting 1, 2, 3 ways to win, 3 ways to lose. So that would be
3 over 3.
reduce would be 1 to 1,
3 over 6.
1 to 1.
Who said
The person that got it wrong. 1 to 1. 1 to 1 odds means you're just as likely to win as you are to lose. Okay. You got a 50-50 chance. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Remember, 1 to 2 odds is not 50-50. You're more likely to lose than you are to win. But 1 to 1 odds means it's just as likely to win as you is to lose. This is not a betting class or anything like that, but you hear it all the time in everyday speak. This is the bet that pays the least, right? Why does this one pay the least? Well, because it's an even bet, right? You're most likely to win or lose both, either one, right? Or you're neither likely to win nor you're likely to lose. It's 50-50, okay? All right, last one. What are the odds against? Okay, odds against are lose to win, lose to win. Landing on a white number, there's only 2 white numbers, but remember, odds against are how many ways to lose over how many ways to win. So there's 4 ways to lose, there's 2 ways to win. 4 ways to win, or lose, sorry, 2 ways to win. Reduce, that would be 2 to 1 odds, 2 to 1 odds. Notice this doesn't mean 50%. A half means 50%, right? But this doesn't mean 50%. This means there's 2 ways to lose, but only 1 way to win. 1 to 1 is 50%. This is also why odds are not really that well understood by a lot of people. Three things that can happen. I either win 1 way or 2 ways to lose. There's 3 things that can happen there. That's why if you calculated the probability of landing on a white number, what's the probability of landing on a white number? Probability of landing on a white number. Well, there's 2 out of 6. That's a third. There's your 33%. Yeah.
How did you get 2 over 1?
How many ways are there to lose? What defines losing?
Not landing on a white number.
So how many non-white numbers are there?
2. Oh, 4.
That's where the 4 came from. We good? Abby.
So for homework, can you just keep it, or can we just?
Colon form. Reduced colon form.
Got it.
All right, next game. It's called the grab bag. There's a bag. There's things inside the bag. They love colored marbles. Sometimes there's letters. Sometimes there's colored marbles. You have a bag containing 3 red, 2 blue, 1 yellow, 4 green. What are the odds in favor? I reach in there at random and I pick up a red marble. Count.
1, 2.
You could also add.
How did you find that picture?
Thanks.
10.
I found the picture and then I wrote the question. I certainly didn't do it the other way around.
Oh,
Okay, so odds in favor goes win over lose. How many ways to win this game?
10.
What defines winning?
How many marbles are
What defines winning?
Give me a red marble.
How many red marbles are there?
3.
So how many ways to win?
3.
There are 3 ways to win. How many ways to lose?
10. Oh,
No, 10. I pick red, I won.
6. No. 7.
There are 7 ways to lose. Okay, 7 ways to lose. What defines losing here?
7.
What defines losing?
Picking marbles.
Okay, I picked red. Did I win or lose? Red wins.
Yeah, we said blue. What?
Yeah,
I said, what defines losing?
this is.
What means I lost?
You didn't pick up red marble.
Okay, so how many non-red marbles are there?
7.
He asked the question.
But that's what I said.
He asked the question.
Okay.
That's what defines losing.
Sorry, I looked at the paper and then I was like, wait, what?
All right. Any more confusion on this one? By the way, you don't need a picture to do this. Right? If red means you win, there's 3 red ones and all the rest are not red. 2 + 1 + 4 is 7. Now, like I said, we like colon form. Good odds or bad odds?
Good bad odds.
You're going to lose this game, right? Not all the time. 3 times you win, but 7 times you lose.
So
You do this over and over and over again, you're going to do nothing but lose money.
So in 10
It's not a
tries.
class on betting. I always got to say that.
So in 10 tries, you'd only win 3.
You would only win 3.
Hmm.
30%, 33%, 30% of the time you're going to win.
What's the like average? Like you pick it up, like so like you go and you pick a red and then you pick another red.
Well, remember, you're going to learn tomorrow these are called independent events. Independent means that it doesn't matter what happened the previous time, right? This is independent either with or with. I'm going to get way ahead of it. I don't want to say with or without replacement yet. Tomorrow's class. Questions? Okay, do box 5 all by yourself.
We already did
Big box five.
math mistake.
No, it's a different problem.
What? I did big box five.
It's a different problem. Read it.
Yes.
Read it.
Oh my
Somehow I think that yelling louder will make you understand quicker, but it's never the case.
Oh, you're right.
Thank
that
you.
is wrong.
Thank you.
One, two, three, four, five, seven.
The numbers are right here. Just read the number. The picture was just there because I was like, I gotta have a picture. Looks like a boring slide.
You have bad odds. Yeah.
Let him make his mistakes.
Oh.
Let him make his own mistakes. All right, Jackson. They're discussing up here. Is this a good game or a bad game to play? Good game or bad game? It's kind of in the middle. So in the middle would be something like 1-to-1 odds. Okay. So if this comes out to be about 1-to-1 odds, then you're as likely to lose as you are to win. Let's see what we get here. What defines winning, Kai?
3.
What defines winning?
Defines winning. Not picking.
Picking. What defines winning? Picking.
Yellow or green.
Yellow or green. All
I
right.
thought you said losing. Sorry.
Do I need to play the video?
Yes.
Honestly, I thought you just said.
I thought I
what
said
is
it
the
pretty
opposite
loud.
of it?
I said, what defines winning?
I think you said
What
losing.
defines winning? All right, Smalley, how many ways are there to win here?
What?
How many ways to win?
There are 5 ways.
There's 5 ways to win. How many ways to lose?
5. So it would be
What would mean to lose, Kai?
Not pick a yellow or green.
So how many of those marbles are there?
No, 4.
So if I pick this marble right here, did I win or lose?
You
You
won.
lost. Because the
So
blue-
you're saying there's 3 blues.
no. There's 3 reds.
I'm
Kai, 2
colorblind, but I can
blues,
tell
1
that there's
yellow,
2.
And 4 green.
So winning means, you told me green or yellow, so that means losing would mean red or blue. And how many of those are there?
5.
And Jackson said all along, hey, this is just like an even game
But it's not. Oh, wait, yeah, it is.
because the odds are 1-to-1. Okay.
That was 4.
I mean, I'd rather play this game than the previous game.
Wait. How did you get 5?
Oh my
What
God.
defines winning?
The picking the green.
How many of those?
5.
So what defines losing?
Picking. Oh, there, 5.
I've had more O's today than any class I've taught
You're
recently.
difficult, man.
Counting is
So
hard.
it is difficult in the sense of you have to read carefully. I agree with that statement. It is not difficult to determine the numbers, but it is difficult because sometimes it's odds in favor, sometimes it's odds against. So you just got to read carefully. All right,
Oh, great.
try it. 2 more. I'll give you a 30-second
I'm
head
just
start.
gonna wait.
I know what
Just
it
read
is.
it.
I know what both of those are.
Good. Now give everyone else a chance to go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I get 8, bro. It's 7.
Let him do his math. You do your math.
Fight. You want fight?
Read it carefully. Figure out what winning and losing means and write the odds. And then just make sure you're doing whether it says odds in favor or odds against.
Wait, no, I did that wrong.
Sorry.
9, 2,
Nathan, you got the first one? What'd you get? Is it good odds or bad odds? What? He says good odds. You agree or disagree?
Disagree.
I heard agree or disagree about.
Disagree. I agree with me.
I heard agree and disagree. All right. Nate, what defines winning? How many blues are there? So that would mean losing would mean, if blue means winning, then what means not winning? Go ahead, finish the sentence. If blue means winning, then what would mean not winning? Or green, or what's the other one? Red. Well, how many of those marbles are there? So there's how many ways to win? And how many ways to lose? So do you think that's good or bad odds? What? Those are bad. Now, reducing that would give us what? 1 to 4? So there's only one way to win. There's 4 ways to lose. This is not a good game to play. Kai?
Good.
Okay. No, questions.
How did you get? Oh, you simplified. Okay.
All right. The last one is trying to trick you. Why?
Because odds against.
Odds against. Okay. The only difference is you take this fraction, you flip it. Not the numbers, but you take the fraction, flip it. So it's lose over win. So once again, what defines winning in this one?
Blue.
How do I win this?
Yellow. You pick
You have to
yellow.
get the yellow.
I got to pick yellow. How many yellows are there?
There's 1.
So how many ways to lose?
9.
But remember, this is odds against, so it goes lose over win. So therefore, it's
9 against.
9 to 1. 9 to 1. Right? If it was odds in favor, it would be 1 to 9. It's the spring, so Kentucky Derby is coming up. Kentucky Derby is how I learned about odds, not because I was betting, but because I watched the races.
Ooh, you betting?
No, I've actually never bet on a horse race.
Really?
I've bet on a dog race, but never a horse race. But,
Bet on
Yeah,
a math
dog
test.
race.
dog racing is popular in other parts of the country. Actually, there was when I first moved here, there was a Greyhound place in the kind of north of the city, and we went there once or twice, and then it closed down. All right, but anyway, they always would express this thing called odds, and I was like to my dad, I was like, "What does that mean?" And then he explained it to me. Anyway, if this was odds in favor 1 to 9, that would be what's called a long shot, right? You only got one chance of winning. They call it a long shot because there's very little chance of you winning.
What if you just like say like in this game, I could pick up my one back, look at this guy down in town.
We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Okay. All right, next game. This doesn't seem like a game. This seems like a weather forecast. Literally, they use these words all the time when you turn on the news or whatever. What are the odds it's going to rain, right? A lot of times they use the word probability. Be careful. They like to interchange those words and not use them correctly. We're going to be calculating odds. What are the odds that it will rain? Okay, so what is the likelihood that it will rain? Well, 30% chance of rain. Well, what's the chance it doesn't rain? So what are the odds?
73.
What?
3 to 7.
3 to 7. 3 to 7.
Hi, can I have Gabby sign up for the office, please?
She's on her way.
Thank you.
McDonald's.
All right. Anybody lost in how I got that? Okay. What does it say here? 60% chance of rain today. What are the odds against it raining? Okay, so you win this game if it rains. So what are the chances of it raining? So what are the chances of it not raining? Well, there it says what are the odds against it raining? So then it would be 0.4 to 0.6, which would be, and reduced, that would be 2 to 3. All right, question.
Why do you put the
Or the
Technically, they gave it to me as a percent. So 30% is 0.3 written as a decimal. Okay? All right, this is probably the only tricky one tonight for homework where they give you a percent. If this wasn't explained to you, you might not be able to figure out, but it's pretty simple, right? All right. Do the last one. We like snow.
We just did this. I don't like snow.
We're like 8.
I want to go to the learning study at all times.
I just.
The numbers are changed, the scenarios changed.
We
Why
just
do you
did
do
this.
that?
though.
The exact same way we did this one.
Yeah, we just did this.
Because I did this, now you are doing this.
But it's the same thing.
It's not the same thing. The numbers have changed.
No.
The
It's
scenario,
30 to 35.
it says it's snowing, not raining. We might get a snow day. I don't know.
You wait, what?
What are the odds we'll get a snow day? I mean, we use that all the time.
Rainy day. Thunder day.
One out of 100. Okay,
Whaling day.
Hail only happens in the spring and summer.
Has that ever happened where you have to cancel school because it's so hot?
Not since I've ever worked.
Everywhere.
Could that happen?
I've had a day because it was too windy. They were afraid the buses would get blown over, so
And then
not here, but my old school. This was recently, like within the last, I don't know, 5 years. We had a really windy day, knocked down power lines. It was so windy. They canceled school that day. They literally were afraid the school buses would blow over. All right, here we go. Abby, you got an answer? What are the odds that it will snow? That means we win if it snows.
Can I just like to sneak you?
Whatever you're supposed to do is what you need to do.
I don't want to go. I have to go get my blood drawn. She's leaving.
So
me
look
alone.
away, you'll be fine. It truly isn't that painful. It's just scary to think about, but it's not that painful.
It won't take all your.
And if you have a really good person, you might feel absolutely nothing.
Gabby,
You're
don't
lucky.
think about it.
Yeah, don't do that.
You just turn your head, you'll be fine.
Your blood will be as worse.
Not really.
No, it's not.
All right.
Not really.
And then say thank you to the phlebotomist. That's my favorite word.
My mom's
I'm not a good speller, but it's actually spelled with a P. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah, it's
it's like
pH.
P, B, love. I don't know. It must be Latin or Greek, and I'm sure it's means blood. They test the blood. So a lot of times when you have something going on wrong with you, it can be found inside the blood.
Like that.
All right, diabetes is one of those, right? All right, back up here. Listen up, please. Listen up. All right, Abby, to win the game, it snows. How many ways to win the game? So how many ways for it not to snow if there's 35%?
75%.
Absolutely not.
What?
Your math is very bad.
I'm confused.
If 35 ways to win, how many ways to lose?
Oh, 65.
65.
Wait, what? Oh!
How many O's am I going to get in one class? Now this can be reduced. It can be reduced by, let's see, 7 does not go into both of them. What goes into both? 5 goes into both, right? So that's 7 to 13. So once again, the likelihood of it snowing, right, is it's not as likely as it snows, it won't snow. Always. All right, Landon, turn around. Up here, what are the odds against it raining? So once again, we define winning as it is raining. So what's the likelihood of it raining? 20. So 20 goes, that's win. Now we're doing odds against, so win goes on the bottom, what goes on the top? Okay, so the likelihood of it not raining. So the likelihood of it not raining would be what? If 20 is the likelihood of it raining, not raining would be 80.
Oh, 80, yeah.
So 80 over 20, I'm just doing reducing, so 4-to-1 odds. Hey, it's not going to rain. Unless it's Colorado, then it's guaranteed to rain because you didn't bring your umbrella. All right, last game. All right, this is the one that you got to pay attention to. This is the one that will cause problems. You're rolling 2 die. They're both excited. Okay? If you roll the first one, what can you get?
6 or a 1 or 5
Okay.
or
You roll the second one, what could you get?
12 or 3 or 12.
By the way, I need you to draw this in box 6. Exactly the way I'm drawing it.
Box 6.
Box 8, sorry.
Die 1, die 2.
2 die.
What's a die?
Wait, we're gonna.
Die is singular for dice.
Oh.
You die.
Dice can mean 20, right? But 1 means die.
So
All
there's
right,
that chance.
now stop what you're doing and listen. Concentrate. Stop what you're doing and concentrate. You roll 1 die, the only possibility you get is 1 through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you roll the second one, what could you get?
7, 8, 9, 11.
No. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. There's no 7 on a die. Okay? Notice how I drew this. What we are creating, do this. What we are creating is what's called a sample space. We're showing everything that could happen if you roll 2 die. For instance, you could roll the first die and you could get a
6.
and the second die you could get a
5,
6 plus 5 is
11.
there's 11 right here. Now I'll give you a choice. You can either put dots or you can put the number. It's your choice. You can either put dots or you can put a number. You can get a 1 and a
1,
or a 1 and a
3,
or a 1 and a
5.
4. You can either write numbers. I'm going to put the book puts dots. Each one of those dots represents the sum of the 2 numbers. For some students, the dots are perfectly fine. Other students, you might want to actually write the numbers because the rest of the homework is this particular picture. So how many different things can you get when you roll 2 die?
36.
There's 36 possibilities. Each one of those dots represents a number. What's that dot represent?
7.
No. 15.
8.
8.
The largest number you can get is
12.
12. For those of you putting in numbers, you will notice that pattern emerges. For instance, 1 plus 5 is
6.
2 plus 4 is
6.
3 plus 3 is
6.
4 plus 2 is
6.
5 plus. Notice there ends up being a pattern.
Christian.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Never mind.
Okay.
6.
All right. Back up here. Back up here. This box that you just filled out will answer all the rest of the questions. Let's see how that works. It's called a sample space. Sometimes you can draw the sample space. Sometimes it's way too large. If we were to draw 3 or roll 3 die, our sample space would get very large very quickly. Okay. So here are the questions. It says 2 cubes are rolled. What are the odds of rolling a 10? So what you have to do is how many ways are there to get a 10? So we're going to go back to box 8. Box 8. Well, how many ways can we get a 10? Give me one way of getting a 10. Where would that be? That would be right here, yes? What's another way of getting a 10? Where would that be?
And then 6 and 4 again.
So to get a 10, it would look like that. You see it?
Yeah.
Let's go.
5 plus 5 is 10. 6 plus 4 is 10. 4 plus 6 is 10. Is there any other way of getting a 10? It will always follow a pattern. The pattern looks like this. It will be a diagonal. So how many ways of getting a 10? How many ways of getting a 10?
3.
how many ways to not get a 10?
36.
Not 36,
33. Why 33?
because how many dots were there?
Oh, 30.
So if there's 3 ways to win, there would be 33 ways to lose. Who's lost on that concept? Okay, last question. Two cubes are rolled. What are the odds against getting a 4 or 7? This was more complicated. So against getting a 4 or 7. Well, how many ways to get a 4?
Let's see.
3 and 1. 3 and 1.
So how many ways? A 4.
3, 4, 4 ways.
Well, 1 and 3, 2 and 2, 3, 1. There's 3 ways. How about a 7? 6 and a 1, 4 and a 5 and a 2.
1 and 2. 4 and 3.
So it would look like that. You see it? So how many ways to get a 4 or 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How many ways to not get a 4 or 7?
36. 27.
36 minus 9, which would be 27. So why did I write like this? Because remember, this doesn't say as odds in favor. It said odds against. Okay? Who's lost in what I just did? Of everything that we did, this is the one that usually causes the problems. Rolling 2 cubes. You have to think about that right there. Right? Some kids like to put in numbers because it makes it maybe a little bit easier, right? But if you understand how this is created, you're perfectly fine. All right. Just to make sure I reiterate the point. We have probability and we have odds. They are not the same. Okay? Hey, what's the probability I roll a 6? Probability. Okay? Probability that I roll a 6 would be 1 out of 6. What's the probability that I roll a number bigger than or equal to 3?
3.
3 out of 6. So this would be probability, right? 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 4 ways to win that game. But there's 6 things that could happen. So here's your probability, right? 67%. What are the odds that you roll a number 3 or bigger? How many ways to win the game?
There's 3 or bigger. There's 4 ways to win.
How many ways to lose?
2.
Notice how different these answers are. One is 67% or 2/3. One is 2 to 1. Odds are not probability. We like odds because you can visually really see really quickly, hey, how many ways to win versus how many ways to lose. Other people like probability. They're more comfortable with percentages. By the way, these express exactly the same thing. There's 3 total things that can happen. 2 ways to win, 1 way. 3 total things. 2 of them, 33% plus 33, it's actually 33.3 repeating, added together would give you the 67%. So technically they say exactly the same thing, just in different forms or flavors. It's like how I started class by saying, you can describe person by how tall they are or what color clothes they're wearing. You're still describing the same person. 2 different ways of going about it. Okay? Odds and probability. Odds and probability. All right, any question? Here's another example. Flip a coin. 50% chance of getting the heads. 1-to-1 odds. 1-to-1 means there's 2 things that can happen. Win, 1 way to win, 1 way to lose. But only one of them defines winning. These say exactly the same thing. 1-to-1 and 50%. No, you're not going to have to convert between odds and probability or vice versa. What you will have to be able to do is calculate odds and calculate probability. Tomorrow the hard stuff starts. If you thought this was hard, it's going to get harder then. If you thought today was easy, then it will get more challenging tomorrow. We're going to get lots of formulas, lots of new notation, lots of new formulas.
Have a good night.
Good night. It's time to go to bed.
Yes.
I would not turn down a nap, that's for sure.